I'm sorry, what?
Truly the only thing that you need to understand about Europeans and why they are the way that they are and why they complain so much about being super hot and having terrible heat, but then they never install AC is this. For hundreds and hundreds of years now, hundreds of years, the people who were scrappy, innovative problem solvers in Europe, they left. They came to America. People who had the agency and the drive to solve their own problems did solve their own problems, and they came to the United States. The people left in Europe can't install air conditioning units because they're the descendants of the people who couldn't figure out how to buy a boat ticket across the Atlantic.
Y'all heard the same thing I heard, right? Now we'll set aside the cost aspects of purchasing, installing, and running air conditioning in many countries in Europe because energy costs here are so much higher than they are in the US. Let's talk about the fact that she seems to think that the people who live here in Europe are descendants of a bunch of lazy people that just want to complain about stuff. Now, a lot of innovation has occurred in Europe over the past, 200 years. The discovery of penicillin, the invention of the automobile here in Germany, the invention of the hypertext transport protocol that created the World Wide Web as we know it today. If you have a lady boner for the US, that's perfectly fine. Being patriotic and loving your country, there's nothing wrong with that. But loving your country at the expense of an entire continent, no. Especially when the stuff that you say is patently false. There's a lot that I left out of her video because, ugh. But in closing, I'll say this. Installing air conditioning in any place is far more complicated than just buying a TV and dropping it off. Innovation occurs here in Europe all the friggin' time. And if you think that Europeans are the only people that complain about stuff, clearly you've never traveled abroad with a bunch of Americans. People on the Amalfi Coast, visiting the Amalfi Coast, complaining about a lack of escalators and elevators. People in Rome complaining about no water when there's fountains everywhere. Not to mention the little machines that dispense both gassy water and flat water that's been filtered for free. Lady brings a friggin' Camelback with her into a fucking restaurant. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, so she needs to stop it.